easy to drag your feet when faced with the prospect of possibly receiving bad medical news. I've had patients live with significant symptoms for weeks, months, even years before seeking my care. And I get it. It's hard. No one wants bad news. But how much better it is to seek medical care when there could be a cure or even things that can mitigate a disease rather than waiting. Hello, I'm Dr. Renee Harmon. I'm the author of Surfing the Waves of Alzheimer's, Principles of Caregiving That Kept Me Upright. And in the memoir, I do tell of how I had my husband, Harvey, diagnosed with younger onset Alzheimer's disease. He had been complaining to me for about 2 years that he thought his memory wasn't as good as it could be. But it took a family trip to Costa Rica for me to realize just how significant his memory issues were. From that point, it took about 3 months to get an appointment with a neurologist, and from there, another 6 months to get a definitive diagnosis of younger onset Alzheimer's disease. So 2.5 years. Now, research shows us that it takes an average of 6 years from the time someone first has some symptoms until they seek care, longer in the African American population. And it takes 2 years to get a definitive diagnosis from the time they first seek care until they do get the diagnosis. And I've often wondered why it is that some patients take some length of time before seeking medical care. Is it a personality? And it's probably a lot of different things, probably as many different reasons as there are people who delay seeking care. So they might have had a bad experience in the medical system in the past. There might be fear of the diagnosis. There might be fear of the possible treatment. There might be a feeling of helplessness. Well, there's probably nothing they can do about this anyway, and fatalism, and worry that they're overreacting and don't want to appear stupid in front of their physician. For me, it was fear. And that's probably fairly common with Alzheimer's disease and other dementias, is fear in different ways. For me, it was fear of what might happen with his patients that drove me to get his diagnosis as soon as possible. So why is it important to get a diagnosis early in Alzheimer's disease? Well, there are 4 main reasons. The first is there are treatments available, and they work best in the earliest stages of the disease. So we have 2 main classes of medications available. They've been around a long time. They're donepezil and memantine. Donepezil, trade name is Aricept. Memantine, trade name is Namenda. Now there's a combination of these 2 medications. Both of these medications work by assisting and helping the brain cells communicate more efficiently. So they don't get at the root cause of Alzheimer's. They don't affect the tangles and the plaques. It's akin to treating fever and not the source of the fever. There are medications in the pipeline we're looking at treating the source, the plaques and tangles. But right now, what we have does assist the brain communication. And because it does that, it does not increase memory, but it does increase the length of time that someone can live independently. It delays progress. It delays onset of decline. So with donepezil, it delays onset of decline by 6 months. With memantine, 9 months, and with memantine, 6 months. And the effect of donepezil is about 3 years shorter with memantine. So again, it's so important to get patients on these medications as soon as possible to affect as much positive effects as possible. Another reason would be to enroll your loved one in a drug study. Most drug studies want patients in the earliest stages of Alzheimer's disease, before brain cells have died, and gives them a chance to see what that medication can do. And it's possible that your loved one would be enrolled in a drug study that has a great effect. We don't know, but I would hate for them to miss out on that. A third reason would be to avoid catastrophe. So if behavioral symptoms are some of the first presenting symptoms, you can imagine a scenario where strong behaviors might lead to divorce or other rift in the family or unemployment. It might lead to law enforcement becoming involved, and it's really hard to extricate someone out of the law enforcement system without a diagnosis first being made. And the last reason would be it is much better to have your loved one actively participate in getting their affairs in order, all right, to drawing up wills and powers of attorney and signing them while they're at their best and can understand what's going on. So I know it's hard and there's nothing easy about Alzheimer's disease, but it's so important to seek a diagnosis as soon as possible. Thank you. Be well and keep your balance.